There we go.
So this is our Raising Awareness project, and I'm Kayla.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Jamie.
And then, so our problem and root causes, we realized that there is a persistent problem of mental health struggles in urban and local K through 12 education systems. Our group studied how the pandemic affected the mental health and wellness of marginalized or disadvantaged student populations. We specifically analyzed how low socioeconomic level students were affected compared to middle and high level socioeconomic level students during the pandemic. And then the question that we specifically looked at is the pandemic affecting the mental health and wellness of the low socioeconomic level students more severely than the middle and high socioeconomic level students? Students at risk of poverty exhibit more behavioral issues as they worry about their financial situation, schooling, lack of resources that would allow them to do remote learning. Students at a low socioeconomic level are seen to develop mental health issues at a greater rate than those at a higher level, from Santa Cruz. And then more about the problem and root causes. Why is the identified problem a critical issue to learn about and address? The problem is so important to learn about as mental health can greatly affect someone's education, and the pandemic was a huge change to some students, especially those of low socioeconomic status. Since mental health was so significantly impacted during the pandemic, we wanted to see how different people of different economic status were impacted. It is important to notice how students were affected, as we all experienced certain struggles and difficulties during this time period. A root cause of our problem is clearly the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to limited resources and low accessibility for people of low socioeconomic status. And our group, through our research, realized that mental health needs to be improved, and we wanted to find out how we could help make a difference. And then for core content, the process of creating this project started with our group members making the effort to meet up once or twice a week in person. So we were able to discuss with one another and express our ideas in person. We realized that mental health was a really important topic to us, and we began to brainstorm ways that we could raise awareness to improve mental health. Coming out of COVID has been a difficult time for many, as we wanted to make local resources more accessible. As after many conversations with each other and our professor, and also communicating with other professionals, we came to the conclusion that a flyer was the best way to spread awareness about this topic. Additionally, we use information from our annotated bibliographies to help us with this project. We found information from the Journal of Chemical Education that the biggest problem students face that affects their mental health is accessibility. We wanted to change that through our project by making resources easier to access for students. Relating back to our original question, we wanted to specifically address students of low socioeconomic status. So we found and provided local and simple resources to help make a difference.
And then with those resources, we decided to put those said resources on a flyer. And our group decided to help raise awareness by making a simple flyer that is easy to use. Our flyer contains a QR code to a link tree that shows many sources to help with mental health. Our resources include, but are not limited to, the Long Beach Unified School District Student Support Services and Family Resource Centers, but also includes other websites and useful apps. Since everyone nowadays also uses social media, we provided some Instagram accounts that post helpful quotes, images, affirmations, and more about mental health. So our roadmap would start as one, we would look for solutions. And then our next step would be to come up with a simple and effective solution. And then the step after that would be to talk to school officials. And then we would end off by putting it into play. What we learned after speaking with school officials. So our solution. So this is what our team made together. We made a flyer that has a QR code, and the QR code pops. That's the first thing you see when you see this flyer. And it's made simple for parents to just use their phone and then scan the code, and then that code would simply take you to a link tree, and then that link tree is very simply laid out to where you could just click a button, and it would either take you to a uh, form where you could fill it out, and then it would have your information right away, or it would send you to a simple resource where you could learn more about the program. And just to clarify that our main focal point of our mission is to improve the quality of education of students, specifically those affected by learning loss due to the pandemic. Our target audience is heavily dependent on the parents of those students. So this flyer is catered for those parents to have easy access to said resources. Our target, the parents hold the strongest point of influence if they can organize and stand up for a change in the education system. When parents see their children, they notice their needs and if they're being met. So teachers have the same concept as their students. So in turn, parents and teachers should aim to work together for the betterment of students. This is where our audience of parents extends to teachers, as both are needed to raise awareness to the next level. That level is getting the attention of school administrators, which in turn talks about our next step to talking to school officials. Admin holds a strong position of power as they are the ones who decide the severity of an issue in their school. There have been many cases where teachers bring up issues such as lack of school supplies or unsustainable classroom conditions. The administration sees problems like this and notices that if there's not enough noise made, they will not push to solve these problems and use such an excuse as low funding from the government or anything else like that. Unfortunately, whether these problems are solved or not, administrators get to keep their job because their job is to keep the schools running and students safe. They will not get fired over the poor quality of education. If enough noise is made by parents and teachers, they will have no choice but to take action. Once the action is made, the next level of awareness reaches the school board and policymakers. And that is our end game to where we would want to have the school board and policymakers put our mission into play. And this flyer is simply made for the parents to access these resources so they can get the help, and then they would have the help that's needed to have their students succeed in education. So what we learned, parents find it too difficult to go through so many steps when they're seeking help. There's another reason why this flyer is simply made for just a simple QR code scan, and they can get to the sources they need. There are resources, but they are not highlighted. Oftentimes, students are dealing with things at home, meaning school is their safe place. So again, there's a lot of resources in the flyer where students can go individually as well, and they could feel like if they're not being heard, there's resources out there to get them the help they need. And additional resources are Family Resource Center, social, emotional, and behavior support, assist family during COVID-19, AOC 7, and it advocates for equity in Anaheim, Orange, and Cherry, Instagram pages at mental health. Those are additional resources where you could go onto, if you have social media, they have good affirmations where it could help benefit everyone. And more additional resources would be, again, AOC 7 and the Hispanic Family Counseling. This one specifically assists in emotional and mental health needs, a professional tool that helps enhance personal lives. Bilingual services connect you to people that offer clothing services, help those with disabilities, housing assistance, and immigration services. Social, emotional, and behavior support assists with families during COVID-19. This webpage was created by staff members committing to helping students and families in need of help. It provides additional resources and information regarding school and emotional and behavior support, as well as mental health, grief counseling, and then complications due to COVID-19. And then again, these are the Instagram pages. It's like I said before, it just gives good positive messages to where it might be motivating to some people that they might need to read something positive to lighten up their day. And it's also it gives good tips onto how to manage certain situations if you are feeling stressed out. So ways to better mental health. So some ideas that we've created that we thought of was going for a walk, reading a book, talking to people around you, napping, and then exercise. Exercise. I feel like a lot of people um, don't really see exercise as a way to make their mental health better, but it's been scientifically proven that exercise can have beneficial attributes to mental health. There is also meditation and writing down what you're thankful for, journaling, setting goals and reminders, and also cleaning.
We're gonna have to restart.
Why?
Yeah, so you remember how like we had like a certain number? I think we both lost track of that number because now we're on slide like 18 out of 21. And I haven't talked at all.
Just finish it up. That's fine.
Yeah, we're good. Let's just keep going. So what's after this slide? All right, cool.
Our end goal. We wanted to make people aware of these resources out there to receive the help they need. We wanted to make this flyer very accessible because some people do struggle with technology. And we wanted it to not be too much of an eyesore, so we wanted to keep it simple. And this flyer was meant to be accessible for people who might not see it on social media or for people who are just simply walking about on their day. So our next steps in our implementation, we would print out the flyers. We would spread awarenesses of these resources by putting out the flyer in visible places. And in case people didn't see this flyer, we would simply tell people around us and explain to them what this flyer would help you with. And that was our presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.